Så, välkomna hit allihopa. Är det dagens näst sista, va? So, I got a request to do this session in English, so I will do that. And let's hope my English works better than my demos. I just tried them again, they didn't work, so I did some last minute things. Let's hope they work in a couple of minutes. First question for you. How many of you are developers? Okay, that's probably how it should be on a developing session, right? So, what do you think about me? Am I a developer? No, I'm not. Ooh, I'm the enemy. I'm an IT pro. I'm going to tell you why I do the stuff I do in Azure, why I don't count myself as a developer, and why we're here, basically. So, first me, I'm Daniel Sörlöv. I'm a PowerShell MVP. Been doing automation at home in infinite number of places. I love the Arduino stuff, all these things. You know, you can program, you can make them. Yeah, that's the fantastic thing, and I love that. So, but it's not what I do professionally. Professionally, I'm an infrastructure architect. That means that I plan VMs, I script a lot, but I don't program. So it's a kind of on my free time I do this. And the reason for me presenting this session is that I've been writing applications for phones and mobiles a long time. It all started in, I can't even remember when, but I actually managed to dig up a old screenshot here. Okay, so it's a bit of add things. My career as an app developer actually started with operator check, as it was called internationally, a application that checked whoever you were calling, which operator they had. So if you had a flat rate subscription, you could call for free, and if they had another operator than you had, you would get a warning saying, hey, are you sure you want to call them? Good application, right? Could be useful. I developed this for Android. The main reason being that I couldn't afford the subscription that was required to develop at Apple. So that was basically why I selected that platform. Anyhow, I started developing this, a lot of plugins. I had Poland, I had USA, I had a lot of countries in the database, I had a lot of operators, a lot of numbers. Every day about 150,000 call records came into my system. I hosted it all home at my ADSL connection. Worked actually pretty good. Started to get some like, well, it doesn't work. My calls get cut off, yeah, because the web service call just timed out, and I didn't know. Since I'm not a developer, I didn't have a process to how to develop this. I didn't have error management, and you know, I did what was necessary. The thing. So why don't I have this app anymore? What do you think? Anyone? Yeah, Skype could be one reason. Yeah, no, actually it was that it was at home on my ADSL. It didn't scale very well, so I got a lot of problems. I was giving it away, so I wasn't making any money on it. So it became really difficult to scale. The option basically at the time were go to Amazon. They had something, but it required me to buy this amount of stuff. I didn't want to do that. So basically that's my background, and that's why I'm so interested in building these kinds of applications. I realize that a lot of the things that we do today are mobile based. We're going to do everything on our mobile phones. I do basically everything from income taxes to, I don't know, banking, whatever. I think many of you do the same. So it's an interesting topic, just to give you a background of my experiences. Then along come Windows Phone. And then it kind of disappeared because it didn't really cut it, and then Windows Phone 8 came out and it did actually work, and that's where we are at today. So let's talk about mobile services for a couple of minutes. I saw this session being announced as a level 400. I don't know who slipped on the keyboard. It wasn't me. It's not a level 400. But still, I hope that I can give you something that you will find interesting anyway. At least, not, if nothing else, a perspective on how to think about this from a non-developer perspective. So, things that we got from the mobile services available in Azure is stuff that are normally pretty complex to solve in a good way. Data storage of different kinds. SQL, data tables, blob storage, even actually a way to communicate with other databases systems via the way of the service bus and the relay functions there. It actually allows me to talk to whatever I want in the background, a bit slower and not as direct as the other three, but this was also a problem I had to solve in developing my application, since we need somewhere to store data. And when it came to Android, there were like, I don't know how many millions of zillions of different distributions with different databases, libraries, versions. It was a sandwich there, it was a cream whatever, and I can't even remember all the names of stuff. But there were a lot of options, and none of them were universal. Here we got a pretty good backend that's bundled with a communication as well. So I can talk to these things from my application right out of the box. I don't have to think about the low-level stuff. Oh, I have to open a TCP connection and then do a handshake. Oh, I have to have SSL as well. Okay, so I had to do stuff mostly in web services before. I don't have to think about the actual logic involved in this. But this is one of the things I get, data storage. Another one, authentication. My app actually didn't require authentication. But in hindsight, I wished it actually did, because then I would have a database of who called who, how often they did that, and even texts were logged. I can't even imagine people getting that. Do you want to install this app? It can make phone calls, read all your records. It's by Daniel. And they're like, yeah, Daniel, we trust him. So I would have had the perfect marketing database, but I didn't do that. So I didn't know. I can't connect it to who actually was the people involved. But if I had this framework, I would have made sure that they logged in. So what is this framework? It's authentication. And it supports these providers without me actually having to take any specific code or implementation for the different providers. These are the ones that are out of the box. Everything else is developed. We can develop whatever we want. I don't have to tell you guys that, because you know that you can develop whatever you want. But these are the ones that are out of the box. I would say Facebook, Twitter, Microsoft, that's the Live ID or Microsoft account or whatever it's called now. And then we have the Googles and Azure Active Directory. That should about cover 99.9% of all authentication needs. Or are you missing some piece here? I'm just curious. I don't know. Yahoo? Is people actually using that? Okay, yeah, okay. Yahoo is missing. That's very true. But it gives a good all-round authentication. So, I mean, signing into the application, just select which providers we're going to use. In the demo, which hopefully then will work today, we'll actually show the Facebook integration. So just to make a simple login, which can be extended further on. And this was a pain in the, doing all the different implementations, code, certificates, I don't know what. What we got in the portal when we come to set up the application is just upload your certificate or API key for the respective platform. There is actually different namespaces for pushing to the different providers, but it's still very simple. So we got iOS, Android, Windows Phone. even Windows apps, message hubs into applications. We don't have BlackBerry here, but no one uses that, so why bother? Or is there anyone? There's always someone, in back of the room, like, not me. Okay. So we got a lot of good stuff. Those are the highlights from my perspective of the services that are there. And this is the last piece of that puzzle that makes it fantastic, because this does what ADSL couldn't do for me. It scales. And we even got auto scaling. So we can go in and we can say Thursday through Sunday, we need to have this much capacity available to us. So we need 6 units available, whilst Monday through Wednesday we only need 2 units. But it can also auto scale that within, so it doesn't use 6 just because we have allocated 6. It uses as much as it needs for that specific time of day. So it updates once a day. That's also important to know. It's not something that will update minute by minute. So it's once per day. So it's still a bit, let's call it lag before it actually adapts that. But it's scalability. Backend, for backend coding, up until, I think it's still in preview, but you can actually do managed code there now. So C# code, just develop the backend in that way. Otherwise, you are not limited to, but you're restricted to JavaScript. But that's also solved, so you can use whatever backend. Today, in my example, we'll use the managed code, just because I love Visual Studio for some reason and I hate JavaScript. Yay! Let's see. Bookmarks are not my thing. Need to know the address. Okay, so this is the management portal for Windows Azure. There is also a brand new version disclosed at build that, well, it looks like this. Currently it's got support only for websites and stuff that we're not going to do today, so that's why we're going to use the other end of it, but it's blingy, right? You can browse here, team projects or whatever. Will kind of work in the same way that you're used to in Windows 8 stuff. So this is how the panel will look moving ahead. Okay. What we're going to concentrate on here is the mobile services tab. I'm actually going to use a pretty standard example application they got, and we're just going to pimp it up with authentication and stuff, so that when you go home and you want to test and build on, that you can actually use the same examples. We're going to create a new mobile service. We're going to give it a name. TechX Azure. Gonna select our backend .NET. There are a couple of different packages to ranging from the simple to the standard and so on, where different features are available. You will get a 20 meg database for free. It probably won't cut it very long, but hey, it's free, right? Select region, Northern Europe. Oh, I love the fact when everything is null. It doesn't say anything. Okay, let's try again. TechX, Azure, North Europe, .NET preview, bum. Probably yeah. So we're going to do a new server as well. Normally you will have one instance or possibly a couple of instances and you will reuse those. But in this case I'll create a new one for us. So TechX Azure password 12 password 12. It's all about security, right? North Europe. The advanced database setting is next page, and it's yeah. Okay, it's advanced, right? You can actually select your collation. Okay, so I'm creating my first mobile services backend stuff. This is what's going to drive my application. It actually creates a couple of things, like a SQL database. It will pop up here in a couple of minutes. It creates a service bus entry as well. So it utilizes a lot of services. But from the perspective of what we need to administer, it's all up here in the mobile services. It's been very, very slow today. I'm not sure what's up, but okay, let's click in here. This is our dashboard. Your mobile service was created. Yep. Let's go through the different options here. Starting with the push. And it's not activated, so I can sing a song while we wait, or someone actually said no. That's mean. Okay, so here it comes. The notification hub, it's set up here in the bus now, and what we need to do is to get those credentials in there. For instance, for Windows applications, Windows Phone, we just upload the certificate. Same with Apple. For Google, it's a API key. So that's all you need to do. Then it's done, because your application will not talk to anything but Azure, and that's the magic of the whole thing, that you just talk to that endpoint and it will, in respective, talk to the different stuff around. Identity. This is the next one. Here we put in our client IDs, secrets for the different applications again. Very simple. So what I've done is that I've This is developersfacebook.com. Up here we can create applications, and I've created a TechX Azure app. That's all I've done. I haven't actually published it or activated it or anything. This is what we actually need to do. You got an app ID and an app secret. Those values, we'll just transfer those into our portal. To do that straight away. Here. So let's close this before there are any interesting messages. Okay, let's save that. Yes. Configure. Here we can put in where we want our source control builds. We can enable remote debugging, performance, developer analytics, a couple of settings, but we need to go to scale before we can do some of that stuff, because under scale you can actually configure basic, standard tiering and functionality. So what we want to do now is that we want to go up to standard, and we can now go in and, for instance, set up how many units are available. we want 6 or 10, and we can set that up to schedule, so we can scale this pretty freely. There's also scaling options for the database, which is basically how much do you want it to grow? What's the size that you want the database to grow? That's the scaling option, because the database will always answer. It will never be overloaded. I will not say ever, ever, never, because it probably will at some point, but you don't have to think about that because you're paying for space and the transaction that goes along with that. So. We got some logging here as well. Pretty limited, but we can see how many calls has been done, how many active devices, the data, and here's our quota. We can of course purchase more quota. Let's go into the dashboard again. Sorry. The not dashboard, it's the lightning cloudy thingy here. Here we got some I'm not going to call it amazing, but think of where I'm from. I'm from the IT pro side of things. So it's pretty good to have a scaffolding project to start off with. And they actually made a project that is pretty simple to extend and that really shows off the possibilities. So what we're going to do is we're going to select which platform we're working on. And we're working on Windows 8 just to make it simple for me to demo here. So we can download the tools, and then we download, click here to download some code. Okay, I did something bad. Let's do it again. I'm going to do that, one of those favorite things, you know, where we put the project on the desktop, which is totally best practice. This is a good tip. Since you're downloading from the internet, just to keep your file from being blocked at a later time, unblock the zip file before you unpack it. And then go ahead and unpack it. Like that. So probably this demo will break in about 5 or 6 minutes. Just keeping the glass half empty, you know. You will probably need to restore any dependencies. Probably you all guys got a lot better. Oh, he should have just clicked the open with dependencies switch or something like that, but never mind. And I was just about to say this is a really quick process, but yeah. I think it's JSON, what's called newtonsoft.json, which is downloading. Let's see. Okay, done. I'm going to do the same here just to make sure nothing. Okay, so we got two ends of this. It's the backend and it's the phone application itself, right? And what what we want to do, we want to start this up. I didn't start Studio as admin. That's why didn't I do that? That's amazing.
You're an IT pro.
Touché, yeah. We could argue about being admin, I think, a couple of hours, but that's one of the applications I normally always open as exactly that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I'm an IT pro, so I don't have any patience. I want to see if it's okay. So it's still booting. Okay, it's snapshot. It's booted. What do I want to do? I want to. I told you I was an IT pro. You didn't believe me. Just proven it. Blam. Okay, so it blew up in the same place. I did some finishing touches to my Hyper-V environment, and it kind of doesn't want to talk to anything anymore. So I'm not even going to pretend that I can troubleshoot that during this session, so I'm not going to do that. So instead, let's check out the code at hand. I'm really sorry, I'm not going to be able to show you any of it live. It blew up, kind of. I hate SAML files. I really do. I really do. There's no good editor for them. They're just a pain in the... but, okay, so what this application actually does is... have you seen this application before? How many of you have seen it before? One of you? Two of you? Okay, so some of you, or very few of you. Let me just start it up again and very briefly describe what it's going to do. And it's going to do... Come on. So enter some text. Yeah, I know you can't talk to someone. So what it's going to do is, whatever I type in the text box, I click save, it's going to add to a list. That list is going to be displayed below with a checkbox. So it's a very, very simple to-do application. But it still shows off storing and retrieving information. I really, really love this. Okay, so I've done some preparing here. This is gonna suck since I can't show you anything of it, actually. Yep.
Can you publish it up to Azure and run it from there? Have you got a perfect code?
I could possibly do that. Let's try that. So we got our publish profile. Love this. This I love. Let's see. Okay, so it up. It's in the resource. Maybe it's not. I've become very lost. Let's see. I'm desperately looking for a file that's not where it's supposed to be. Because this will no problem. Oh. Yeah, kind of works. That's what you guys always tell me when I'm supposed to deploy something. It worked on my machine. Sorry, just had to do that. Okay. So what we want to do basically to enable our service to this wrong file to do item controller, and we want to do this. And we want to do this. This is just to show you how much work it is to actually enable authentication. Okay, if I think that's simple, you should really think it's not even a task. So that's what we've done there. Let's see. I think there is one more edit that we have to do, and it's this, the web controller, which is in this project. It's in here. We need to take this little thing here and put it in there. This is incredibly important when we're building it on your local machine, because otherwise authentication will not work. It will just accept any as pre-authenticated, because it will not do the authentication part. So that's what I has to do on the back end to enable authentication for my app. And this is regardless of if it would have been a very complex app or a very simple app like this. So it's basically those 3 lines. And if we look at the front end of stuff, we have 2 edits, or 1 edit basically. What we have to do is a new using statement to be able to pop up a dialog. We have to put this in, which is the authenticate async function, which will make the actual login for us. And then we have to override the onNavigated to event, which will actually throw up the authentication dialog. So 3 edits here, 2 in the back end, and you've implemented authentication. Okay, so we're still missing a couple of parts, like who can actually access which part, and probably you want to do authorization as well as authentication, depending on the application at hand, of course. It's clearly not my day because I just forgot the URL. There it is. You got some really good sample codes. AzureMicrosoft.com/enus develop.net samples. And this example is taken from there. It's actually part of a series where it starts with this very simple app and then builds on adding authentication, and then further adding personalized to-do lists, and kind of builds it all on top of that application. I would recommend it. Normally, it takes about 10 minutes to get it to work if your machine is not, well, if you're not an IT pro that fixes stuff that's not broken just before a presentation kind of thing. So basically, you're not going to see any demo. Sorry about that, guys. And this is the last link. And do you have any questions for me? Otherwise, you will have a bit of a longer break than planned.